Hey YouTube, we're looking at the question of whether Niantic can take what is generally one of the most fun weeks of the year and make it too repetitive to the extent that it's not useful anymore. There are some good Pokemon if you want GBL Pokemon in this, but the event itself has a lot of just repeat Pokemon from every adventure week that we see every single year, which is kind of a weird strategy. Usually, like the Halloween, like just thinking about like the most fun events like Halloween and some sort of like holiday events, they generally come with new different Pokemon. But Adventure Week is now in its like maybe fourth straight year with very, very similar spawns. So let's take a look at the Adventure Week. It starts tomorrow. Nice event bonuses for XP, 2 times for spinning stuff, 5 times on your first one, 2 times for hatching, and then a chance for shiny. So again, Cranidos, Sheldon, Tortuga, Archon, Tyrant, and Amora. But like Cranidos and Sheldon already had like specific days for shiny. So a lot of people have that. Maybe they probably don't have a lot of the other ones yet. So maybe people are like trying to get those. The following Pokemon will appear in the wild. So Diglett, Omnimite, Kabuto, Dunsparce, Roggenrola, Dilbur, and Bunnelby. And some trainers might get Aerodactyl. And then these are ones in eggs. And then field research. A lot of what's in the open there with like a couple like Anthros and Orith, and maybe a couple others. No, but it's a lot of the same. Paid research if you're into that, collection challenges, Pokemon stop, and this. So we'll go over what Pokemon you need to look for GBL here, because that's the main point of this. But I just find it fascinating. Actually, like I'm laughing because I'm almost a bit confused why it's just a repeat of previous years. We have, again, a lot of these Pokemon were in the past adventure weeks. So, like, if you're gonna do a repeat week, you gotta add a lot of new stuff to offset the repeats. If not, you're just like doing the same event every year that maybe if you haven't played in the past, you don't have access to these. So like, again, if you don't play in the past and you don't have access to these, it's cool to get some of these Pokemon that you otherwise do not see in the wild a lot. But like, if you played any time in the past 2 years, you've seen these Pokemon a lot in these events. And there really is only a couple in GBL that I would actually focus on. And the first one is the very obvious one, Shieldon into Bastiodon. Bastiodon is so strong in the Great League, unfortunately, it just gets by based on its insane bulk. Right, 246 defense, 138 stamina for a combined 2762 overall score. That is ridiculous. Add on that rock steel typing, makes you resist a ton of stuff with poison, normal, flying, rocks, psychic, ice, fairy, dragon, and bug. Right, so a lot of great resistances, a lot of bad weaknesses fighting ground and water, because there's a lot of that in the meta. But Bastiodon is definitely on a lot of strong teams, just smackdown damage and just so much bulk. It's one of those that can get like absolutely wall like against the Mudboy and stuff like that. So you do need to be careful for using it, but overall it is a very strong Pokemon for the Great League. So definitely go for that. Unfortunately for the rest, there's not a lot here. So Dunsparce is rarely used anymore. It's ranked 162, and in terms of just like normal typings, there's so many other normal typings that would be used ahead of it. Lickitung, Vigoroth, Pidgeot, whatever, Wiggly, Double, Diggersby, Greedence. Like, I would probably use all those before I use Dunsparce as a normal typing. So not super relevant, maybe more. It's tough. I was going to say maybe more limited cups, but if you're in a cup that allows normal typing, I would still use all those other normal typings before I use Dunsparce. It has to be like a normal typing allowed with like Vigoroth and a couple others banned. So it's not as relevant anymore. Maybe it'll get a buff. So I would probably get one of those just because it did at one point have a nice answer for Noctowl, Trevenant, and like Lantern sort of combo. Because you have rock and ground, so it's a nice moveset combo. It just does not the fast move rollout does not get you where you need to be with it. In terms of other, Excadrill is very, very glassy, but it's somewhat being used in the cup, Fantasy Cup this week. In the Open Great League, it's just much worse. It's just too glassy. 134 Shadow, 185 9 Shadow. In the Ultra League, it's same thing. Where actually the rankings won't be up here, but the Master Premier League, it is definitely a go-to in Master Premier. Master League probably doesn't have a ton of play, 87, 103, but Master Premier, it is a top 20. So I would try to look for the Hundo and XLs there. If you can get the Drill Burst, so X-Drill is one you should be looking at. And Buttlebee is Diggersby, and Diggersby is pretty strong in the Great League, 102. Yeah, it's definitely dropped, and it's dropped because of the meta. Right? So it has a lot going for it. It has Mud Shot, one of the best fast moves in this game. Got a nice upgrade with Scorching Sands, 50 for 96, 1.92 with the 30% chance of lowering your opponent's attack. Has either a bait move, or what you can now run is a very high energy but a nuke with stab, same type attack bonus, Hyper Beam, 180, 2.25 damage per energy. Typing, and this is where there's kind of two reasons it's falling apart. And the first one is it's typing. That normal typing, picking up that fighting weakness is kind of annoying. And then ground is weak to grass, ice, and water. So picking up that fighting weakness with Annihilates and Medis and Vigorouse everywhere is annoying. And then obviously being weak to water in a Mudboy dominated meta and Poliwrath dominated and stuff like that. Like it's just, yeah, it gets a little tricky to run it right now. And then you have one of the other main Pokemon is Gligar, which resists your Mud Shot, and you have to resist Scorching Sand. So you would have to land a dig. And if you're running Fire Punch, you're not going to do much to it. So right now it's ranked probably lower than it normally is. Maybe with the meta shifts. Like if we get a bunch of, this is why I would go after it. I think it's a very strong Pokemon. First of all, you need Excel, so start catching everything. Second is it's a very strong Pokemon in general that is just currently being hurt by the meta. I would expect after World Championships in August that in the September update, we will see a lot of new moves and it will shake up the meta. And if it shakes up that meta, we can potentially see Diggersby rise up the ranking. So definitely look for it from there. Unfortunately, all these other Pokemon are like cool rock Pokemon, but not any that have play in this meta. Aurorus is one. Aurorus is so annoying. 55 in the Great League and 44 in the Ultra League. And those rankings are good, right? Those rankings, I'm talking about Diggersby being good at 100, and then I'm just glossing over Aurorus at 55. And why in the Great League? And why am I doing that? It's got some good stuff going for it. 114 attack, 105 defense, 163 stamina is the huge one, getting you up to the close to 2,000 range. In terms of movesets, right, you got the fast energy generating Powder Snow, very quick stab Weather Ball, almost at 1.9 damage per energy with stab. And then you got this really fun nuke, 60 energy Meteor Beam, 144 damage, 2.4 damage per energy, boosts your attack as well. So like stat product, moveset, looking good. And then you get to the typing, and it is a rock ice, and it picks up 6 weaknesses, and those 6 weaknesses are freaking everywhere in the Great League. Double weak to fighting, so Annihilate, anything that's a fighter counter user. Double weak to steel, hello Steel Wing on Empoleon and Skarmory, hitting you double super effective. Weak to grass, weak to ground, Mudboys, Gligar. Weak to rock, Bastiodon, Carbink. Weak to water, again, all the Mudboys, Feraligatr. And it's just like, oh, you have the potential. So yes, it's one of those, again, get it. I think it has the potential to be really cool. Having 6 weaknesses, and here's the thing, water has been meta since season 1. Fighting has been meta since season 1. Ground with Swampert has been meta since season 1. There's very few seasons in the Great League that those typings are not meta. So I think it's worth getting one because you never know in limited cups. It's just in the current state of the Great League, there's no play for it. In the Ultra League, it's ranked a little higher because you still have a lot of fighters. Don't get me wrong, you have a lot of fighters. Maybe a little less steel, maybe a little less ground, maybe a little less rock, right? So I think in the Ultra League, it probably jumps a little bit from that perspective. But the rest of these, I know I'm sort of glossing over. I should just organize by rock because it's Credilli at 155. Credilli has play in limited meta, same sort of thing. And again, it's limited with its typing with the rock grass. Just picking up a fighting weakness and a steel weakness is kind of tough in the Great League right now. But it has a lot of play in limited metas. So I would pick up Credilli there, which is Lileep. But the rest of them, not worth hunting. I mean, hunt if you want some shinies. And again, they're cool Pokemon. And this is why I'm having such trouble with this event. In of itself, Cranidos, Shieldon, Tortuga, Archon, like they're kind of cool Pokemon, right? It's a rock focused event. So rock Pokemon that you would otherwise not get to see a lot of. So it's really cool from that perspective that you would otherwise not see them. But we do see them. We see them every year. And some of these have had Cranidos. Shieldon has already had like a shiny, boosted shiny event. Roggenrola has already had a community day. So like Omnimite and Kabuto has been out since the first because they're Kanto Pokemon. So it's a lot of repeat Pokemon. So I'm just gonna stop here because it's the only thing that's repeating more than these Pokemon is me saying that they're repetitive. So we're gonna call it there. Again, a few Pokemon that you should hunt for GBL, but otherwise maybe just try and get some shinies that you don't otherwise have. So that's it. Happy hunting, and I'll see you guys in the next one.